following is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com. It is 2 minutes after 4 o'clock. You are tuned to 96.3 FM, WLCN. Also, you might be listening via the Mixler app as well as watching on YouTube. This is the 4 p.m. 411. I'm Loyd Kirby, the marketing manager here at WLCN. And we invite you to tune in for the next half hour as we'll be talking with not a new face, but a familiar face in a different position. We have new Lincoln Police Chief Joe Meister here with us. Mr. Meister, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Lloyd.
Sure thing. So let's get into it. I just asked you, you've been with the department, you said, about 10 and a half years?
That's correct. I've been here for 10 and a half years. Before that, I was a police officer, a couple of different agencies, so a total of about 17 years as a police officer. Before that, I worked in a county jail as a corrections officer.
Oh, okay. What is it that drew you to police work or law enforcement?
Well, my father was a police officer,
okay.
So it's a kind of a family legacy. He worked for the agency, County Sheriff's Department, where I was hired to be a correctional officer when I was 18. So he kind of helped me get into the business. And while I was working there, I knew that I wanted to become a police officer and make a career out of that.
Okay. And as we mentioned, you're a familiar face in a new position. So just as of January 1st now, you are the Lincoln Police Chief. So congratulations. And how are things going, Chief?
Thanks, Lloyd. Things are very busy. I had the experience of working as a deputy chief of police for a little over a year before I was appointed to the chief position to replace former Chief Alakovich. So I kind of had somewhat of a grasp on what was going on with the department and got to watch him lead the department for a little over a year and get an idea of what it entailed. But things are different as soon as you bear the burden all on your own.
Heavy as the head that wears the crown, I guess. So
that's what I always told Matt.
So I get. I mean, you've only been on the job officially 10 days. So what is it that maybe made you want to we talked about law enforcement, but move up in the ranks as far as taking on a leadership position within law enforcement?
I always like to view myself as a leader in policing and the different departments that I worked at. The biggest thing is for the men and women that work for the police department. I want to provide them with a good role model and a good place to work. Secondly, the reason why I want to be the ultimate leader of the police department is for the people of Lincoln. I hold myself accountable, and I hold my department accountable for providing a high-quality service to the citizens.
Okay. And once again, listeners, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to call in 217-648-5510, the number to call. Or you can send us an email, 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com. Once again, we're talking with Joe Meister, the Lincoln Chief of Police, and who's been on the job total of 10 days, or not even a total of 10 days, almost 10 days. So I know it's probably kind of difficult since you only have been in the position 10 days, but sort of what is your assessment as far as the police department goes? Like, are you fully staffed? Are there certain needs you have? Are there particular strengths of the department that you want to continue to build on?
Okay, well, I would first address the staffing issue. Unfortunately, the Lincoln Police Department has been short-staffed for a couple of years now. We lost some officers to retirement and different departments, things of that nature. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of on-duty injuries. So currently, we have several people on injury leave and then 3 vacancies. So that is a hurdle. That's a big hurdle. The guys are working shorthanded and working a lot of overtime right now. So it's a very busy department for a small city, but we're getting through it. As far as the station itself goes, we're going through a lot of different changes there. The implementation of body-worn cameras and all of the technology needs that go along with that. An upgrade in the security camera system and our interview recording system. And that's been a very large project, as well as several other just maintenance purchases and agreements, replacing some of our squad cars that end up costing us more money to fix than just buying new, things of that nature. So all in all, we're very busy right now.
And so as chief, what's your, do you have certain priorities of things? Because you mentioned several areas that you're dealing with. It's kind of like juggling and trying to keep all the balls in the air. Are there certain things that are maybe more of your focus at this time?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, the priority is to be caught up with all of the certain mandates that were brought on January 1st with the Training Act. One of them is body-worn cameras, which we're way ahead of the curve on in Lincoln. A population of 13 to 15,000 people. We fall into a different category as far as the mandatory body-worn cameras. We didn't have to have those until 2025, but we're going to implement them, like I said, in February. So thankfully, we're ahead of the curve on that. But those are the priorities, to remain in compliance with all of those new laws. And
so with the body-worn cameras, I'm sure there are specific guidelines of when they must be worn or when they must be on, or are there certain times you're allowed to turn them off or take them off, or is there so much red tape there that's longer than your answer would be longer than a half-hour program would allow?
It might be. I'll try to keep it short. Yes, there are guidelines as to when those must be worn, when the recording must be on, when you can turn it off. But again, to keep it short, what we're going to do is we're going to follow what the Safety Act requires of us with the body-worn cameras, and implement a policy that conforms to what that law requires. So that's what will be coming up in February after we go live with those cameras.
Okay. Now, I think your predecessor, Matt Delakovich, when he was here, was telling me, I can't remember if it was on the air or not, that at the time at least, the Safety Act, the way it read, at the time I had the discussion with him, was that once an officer got a call, they had to turn their camera on, and they couldn't turn it off until, I want to say, a report was filed, or I can't remember. It seemed like an extraordinarily long amount of time to be recording, which wouldn't necessarily all have to do with a particular call. And I know there's always been questions about the Safety Act, or people have voiced different opinions about it and things they like and things that need to be changed. Is there any type of does that provide any guidance as far as what those specific times are, and is it really that long, or am I misremembering what he told me?
No, and it's hard to remember exactly what's going on with it because it's such a long bill, and there's so many different subjects covered within that bill. Right. It's hard to keep track of all that stuff. What's complicated the matter worse is all of the trailer bills that have come afterwards that have changed some of those requirements. And frankly, I wouldn't be surprised to see more before we actually implement the cameras. So yes, it is an extraordinary amount of time that we will need to record. And we're setting up the technology to be able to store that amount of video, which is astronomical.
Right.
Within the police department, we'll use a cloud-based system that helps us with storage costs and things of that nature.
Yeah, I was thinking when I talked with Matt, he had said something about the original bill being, I can't remember, a few hundred pages, but then the trailer bills and the amendments and so forth were pushed the page numbers into the thousands. So a lot of paperwork to weed through there as chief.
The initial bill that was passed, I think, if I can remember correctly, was 784 pages. And now you add on the trailer bills, and those are typically a couple to a few hundred pages as well. So really, all law enforcement agencies, all of the circuits, courts in our system are all baffled, and they're trying to find some guidance from the Illinois Supreme Court, which thankfully we have found some. But portions of the Safety Act now, especially relating to pretrial release, have been there's a stay on
Right.
those for right now. So cash bail is status quo as it was before. We're operating the same way. But all of the training requirements and the other aspects of that act are in effect. And
It's making a difference in how you do things, I'm guessing.
the biggest difference is the training time. As I mentioned, we're short-staffed. We have increased training requirements at this point, but it's hard to get guys to that training.
Sure.
Not only that, but the mobile training units, which provide places for police officers to train all across the state, didn't get any extra funding for that training that is required.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes classes that are required aren't offered. And that's that's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, exactly. Makes it a little difficult to do the training if the training isn't offered. So,
Absolutely.
okay. Well, we've got we're about 12 minutes after 4 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and take our first break. Once again, if you have questions or comments for new Police Chief Joe Meister, Lincoln Police Chief, feel free to give us a call, 217-648-5510, the number to call. With us next week will be Lincoln Community High School Band Director Nigel Range, and also tomorrow on Viewpoint, tomorrow morning at 8:15, Breanne Titus from Capsule will be here talking about their Cheeseburger in Paradise fundraiser, as well as other things going on with the agency. But for right now, we are in the 4 p.m. 411 with Lincoln Police Chief Joe Meister. We will be back in 2 minutes.
love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
And we are back on the 4 p.m. 411 here at WLCN 96.3 FM. Got just a few more minutes with Lincoln Police Chief Joe Meister. Once again, 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have a question or a comment, or you can shoot us an email at 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com. So we were talking about some of the more stressful parts of the job, I guess, in dealing with drug dealers and offenders and so forth, and trying to get that out of the city. What are some of the favorite things that you enjoy about being a police officer?
Well, they kind of pertain to the same subject. My favorite thing about being a police officer is the feeling that you get from actually helping somebody. When you solve a case or get a prosecution and there's a victim that was really invested in whatever that problem was, that's the greatest reward for us. We have many officers in our department that have saved the lives of others. There's no greater reward for us than that. A lot of people look at police officers with like they have a hard shell, but the thing that really drives us is the care for the people who we work for.
Okay, very good. What have you had any surprises in your 10 days as chief here? Maybe something you didn't anticipate that you kind of thought, oh, this won't be that big a deal, and it turned out to be a big deal, or the other way around, maybe something you anticipated would be, a big challenge, and things have fallen into place nicely for you.
The first surprise, Loyd, is being on a radio show. That's my first time here, or on any radio show. So that was a surprise. The most surprising thing for me in the first few days in my tenure as the police chief was the stay that the Supreme Court ordered on the Safety Act. We had prepared for no cash bail, and we were ready to roll with that order, and it was changed overnight. So that was a surprise, and took some thought to revert back to how we have been operating, because we were planning on doing so differently. That was the biggest surprise so far. Okay. Knock on wood.
So where do things stand with that right now, with the Safety Act, as far as, because I haven't paid that close attention to it, but I know in some counties it's stayed and other counties perhaps it's not, or
that was the initial thought.
Okay.
The Kankakee County Circuit Court that heard the case said that a lot of the issues pertaining to pretrial release, the no cash bail part, were unconstitutional. And the Illinois Supreme Court thereafter put a stay for the entire state. So initially it was only like a certain amount of counties that had participated in that lawsuit
Right.
through the Kankakee County Court, that we're going to be no cash bail counties, but it encompasses all 102 counties of the state now.
So what is the next step for that?
The next step is the Illinois Attorney General and then the plaintiffs in this suit will go before the Supreme Court in March. It's scheduled for March now for oral arguments. So after that, the Supreme Court, well, they're kind of the law of the land, so they get to decide when they're going to issue their ruling.
Okay.
And at that point, well, we'll be ready to do either.
Yeah, either implement it or continue without it. So, yeah, we still got a couple minutes left. So, I asked you what about particular goals or visions you might have for the department. Are there any particular areas that like you feel really need to be I don't know what the right word is, upgraded? Like I know the technology certainly has been upgraded here recently, motivated with the Safety Act, but are there any other areas that you'd really like if someone gave you a blank check for $1 million, like, okay, we're going to upgrade this area?
As far as equipment and technology, we're at the cutting edge. Lincoln has been very, very lucky. We have a state-of-the-art police station that's basically brand new. We have great technology within that and within our cars and now with the body cams. If I could do anything, I'd go and work on old school policing, getting out in the community, knowing the people who live there. That's what I want to see happen in the future. You build those relationships, and relationships offer information, and that's how we get our jobs done. So I want people to know our police officers, and I want our police officers to know them.
So how do you do that? How do you build those relationships?
Get out of the car. Get out of the car and put some miles on the boots, shake some hands. Just stopping by and talking to somebody. And I've told my guys they may walk away from you. Not everybody wants to talk to us, and that's fine, but some do. And I look forward to hopefully increasing that type of activity in our department.
And here, this just randomly popped into my head while you were saying that. Is there any kind of community policing or any sort of organization or group that does anything like that within Lincoln? Like I know there have been like neighborhood watches and things like that. Is a group like that, is that something that would be beneficial to the Lincoln Police Department?
That's a good thought, Lloyd. We used to have community policing officers, an officer assigned to the neighborhood he lives in or something like that. We used to have a lot more police officers, though, and a lot lower call volume. Like I mentioned earlier, we're a small city, but we're a very busy one. So especially with the short staffing, this year we answered over 13,000 calls for service. That's one for probably every resident in the city of Lincoln.
Yeah, pretty much.
And with less than 30 police officers. So doing the math on that suggests that these guys are busy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that takes us up to 4:30. It wasn't too painful to be here, was it?
No,
So, all right,
I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, well, we'll hold you to that someday, and we'll have you back again. So our guest has been Joe Meister, Lincoln Police Chief. Once again, next week we will be joined by Lincoln Community High School Band Director Nigel Range. And we invite you to tune in again tomorrow at 8:15 a.m. for Viewpoint with Bill Gossett, when the guest will be Breanne Titus from the Capsule Organization. This has been the 4 p.m. 411. I'm Loyd Kirby. Thanks for listening. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.